Pul in the Bible, and what did the Bible tell us about him that archaeologists didn't know? First Chronicles 5:26 says, "So the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, that is the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he took them into exile." Now, archaeologists and historians didn't know of a king in Assyria with two names, so surely the Bible had made a mistake, right? The two names probably represented two different Assyrian kings, King Pulu and Tiglath-Pileser III. But then in 1993, the Ansrili stela was discovered by archaeologist Elizabeth Carter. She discovered it during a survey of the ancient Marash region of Turkey. It was discovered in a private garden, but it was difficult to read because it had been weathered by the elements. Ansrili is in an area where 4 Hittite territories had bordered each other. It's kind of like an intersection. The Ansrili inscriptions state that Tiglath-Pileser had 2 names. Imagine the surprise because the inscription begins, "This frontier region is the gift of Tiglath-Pileser, Pul, king of Assyria." The inscription repeatedly uses the 2 names together like this, Tiglath-Pileser, Pul. The Bible listed both names in 1 Chronicles 5:26, just like the Ansrili inscription, which is a good indicator that that recorded biblical text was written at the same time it was happening, and not hundreds of years later when those details would have been lost. Tiglath-Pileser was known as Pul first. He was a governor, and he must have led a coup because he took over both the Assyrian and Babylonian empires. Then he took the name of 2 earlier Assyrian kings, becoming Tiglath-Pileser III. He centralized Assyrian and Babylonian power, built up his army, and that stabilized the Assyrian Empire into the major empire that would last for about 100 years. 2 King 15 says that Pul had first come down into the Levant to invade it. And while he was there, he heard of an Israelite named Menahem, who had taken over the rule of Israel, but never bothered to get permission or acknowledge Assyria and Babylon as his overlord. In fact, Menahem attacked cities that rejected him as the leader. He was vicious and he was brutal. Actually, he was just like the Assyrians themselves. But the northern kingdom was having king problems. Menahem had killed a king who had killed a king, and that was becoming a pattern there. But Tiglath-Pileser had risen to power at a time when Assyria was weak. He too had killed a king to gain his throne. Nonetheless, Menahem must have been confident he could get away with treating Assyria with disdain because Tiglath-Pileser was distracted by battles elsewhere. So Menahem continued to create more havoc inside the northern kingdom. But he changed his attitude quickly when Tiglath-Pileser got word of his rebellion. Tiglath-Pileser put an end to Menahem's behavior, and he made him pay a hefty price to support him as a king. Then Tiglath-Pileser left Menahem alone. The Iran stele of Tiglath-Pileser III named Menahem of Samaria as one of the kings who paid him tribute. According to Brian Wendell's article in the Bible Archaeology Report that he published on July 15, 2022, and he titled King Menahem, an Archaeological Biography, Brian said that Menahem is also mentioned in another inscription with Tiglath-Pileser, and he quotes it, saying, Tiglath-Pileser was bragging that he had overwhelmed Menahem like a snowstorm and made him bow at his feet. But Menahem's behavior came back on his family. It's important to note that Tiglath-Pileser referred to Menahem as Menahem of Samaria, not Omri land. And that's how the Assyrian kings usually referenced Israel by the northern kingdom and called it Omri land. But this time, Tiglath-Pileser didn't do that. He called Menahem of Samaria. Now, that may be because the Bible hints that a man named Pekah claimed to have ruled during the same time. And this Pekah revolted against Menahem and eventually killed Menahem's son and took over the throne. Tiglath-Pileser referred to Tiglath-Pileser referred to Pekah as being the ruler of Omri land, meaning the whole thing. And Pekah intended to fight Assyrian rule. During his reign, Tiglath-Pileser had attacked Gilead and Galilee and 5 of the towns and the entire territory of Naphtali. And then he took Israelites from those regions back to Assyria as prisoners. And this is where we read passages in the Bible like First Chronicles 5:26, where it said, "So the God of Israel incited King Pul of Assyria, also known as Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria, who took them prisoner and brought the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh to Halah, Habor, Hara, and the Gozan River." While Tiglath-Pileser was fighting elsewhere, the king of Damascus had organized a coalition of kings against him. King Pekah had joined them, but one king in the region refused, and that was Ahaz, the king of Judah, which was in the southern kingdom. The king of Damascus and Pekah decided to attack Ahaz. According to Isaiah 7:6, they wanted to put a foreign king in his place, at least one that would favor them. God advised Ahaz to stand firm in his faith in God, but he didn't. Isaiah 7 and 8 are God's words on the coming attack of Israel by Assyria. You see, Ahaz was not a godly king. He had sacrificed his own son. That means he burnt him alive to Molech, a demonic king. Ahaz also worshipped Baal, not God. And when Pekah attacked Ahaz, the battle didn't go well for him. The battle is described in 1 Chronicles 28. And 120,000 of his best soldiers died in one day. The king of Damascus took captives, and then Edom attacked Judah, and they took more captives. Then the Philistines attacked. It was a disaster. Ahaz sent a message to Tiglath-Pileser for help. He did this instead of appealing to God. And Ahaz is mentioned by Tiglath-Pileser in his annals by his full name, Jehoahaz. Tiglath-Pileser agreed to kill the king of Damascus for him. And in inscription number 4, he says he organized the plot for Pekah to be assassinated. So later we read that Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, and he paid him in silver and gold and other treasures from the Lord's temple. It must have been a thank you of sorts. Pekah was assassinated by an Israelite named Hoshea, and Hoshea became the last king of the northern kingdom. He's also mentioned by Tiglath-Pileser in his inscription, by the way, where Tiglath says that he plotted. It was his idea in his plot to get rid of Pekah. But for Ahaz, it only got worse. The king was really no help to him. And in 2 Chronicles 28, it tells us in the midst of his troubles that King Ahaz became more and more unfaithful to the Lord. He sacrificed to the gods of Damascus that had defeated him, reasoning, the gods of the kings of Aram help them, so I'll sacrifice to them, so they'll help me. But those gods brought about his downfall and the downfall of all Israel too. When Ahaz died, the Israelites did not bury him with the rest of the kings of Judah. And Tiglath-Pileser, well, we think he might have died peacefully of old age. So what's the point of all this? You see, the Bible introduced Tiglath-Pileser III to us before any of his writings were known. But as Tiglath-Pileser III diligently recorded his accomplishments, he gave us the names of Israel's kings as confirmation of their lives and their histories. It wasn't Muhammad's name that Tiglath-Pileser III inscribed on tablets as the ruler of the land of Israel in 8th century BC. It was the names of the kings of Israel. Now, if you'd like to know more about the history of Israel and the nations surrounding it, check out our book, Countries in the Bible, Who They Are Today. I'll link it in the description box below. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.